Locations, the unsung hero of Star Wars CCG. You know, they're not the most flashy, but they're crucial. Every deck needs them. When you pull a location out of a pack, it really isn't that exciting, but still, there's so many cool locations, and we haven't really covered them here on the channel, so I feel we need to do them justice. Not going to do a top 10 list because they just get too convoluted. We're going to go through every set, all the way from Premier to Death Star 2, picking out the best light side and dark side location, in my opinion. Comment below. Tell me what your favorite Star Wars CCG locations are and why, and enter to win that sweet, sweet starter deck that we all want so much. Obviously, there's some great sets for locations. Premier has some great locations. Hoth has great locations. Special Edition might be the best location set of any set. And then there's some weaker ones. A New Hope, very, very weak for the light side. Dagobah, Dagobah just has a bunch of non-locations. Anyway, let's get into the list, and you can listen to me rant. Starting off the list, and yes, it's not a battleground location. Most of the cards on the list will be battleground locations. I just feel they're more interactive and more in the spirit of what Star Wars CCG should be. That being said, Obi-Wan's Hut was the staple light side starting location from Premier. I would say all the way even up to Jabba's Palace. Not until Special Edition objectives coming out, you could see Obi-Wan's Hut consistently being the starting location. Yes, you could have Throne Room, which lets the light side start first. There's a few other really good starting locations. But I felt Obi-Wan's Hut is just a staple. Obi-Wan deploys -3 there. Obi-Wan's deploying for 2. And if you happen to draw Obi-Wan's lightsaber and maybe lightsaber proficiency first turn, you could be draining turn 2 for 2 on a location where the opponent can't even deploy without a spy, which is amazing. Sure, the dark side has Force Drain +1, which is massive, which means a drain for 3 if they control it. So don't lose control of it, or a drain for 3, you're going to lose the game very fast. But just like in any interview, you just say, my greatest weakness is my greatest strength, and you just revolution it like so many decks played back in the day, and suddenly you have a drain for 3, maybe 4 or 5 with lightsaber or lightsaber proficiencies. I made a whole Premier deck based around revolutioning Obi-Wan's Hut, and it was the only location I had in the deck. Didn't really think that went through. I just wanted my drain of 5. But Obi-Wan Hut, great card, rare one, super iconic picture. I love getting this card out of a pack. That's why it's number 1 on my list. I know the Cantina is great. Cantina is runner-up for both dark and light side. 2 icons on both sides is great. Just a cool card in general. Cantina gets runner-up. My favorite dark side location. 1 for you, 1 for them. Judlin Waste, Tatooine, Tusken Raiders are each forfeit +1. And that's the only reason that... No, just kidding. I love the card because it's Force Drain +1. So you're getting a drain of 2. Plus, the light side has to have total ability of 6 or more required to draw a destiny. Especially when you didn't have a lot of cards as a kid or just starting out. Getting a total of 6 ability can be quite a struggle. It is kind of a struggle even in earlier matches just because not that many cards have high ability. You can throw this in a lot of decks. I've seen this played in all the way up to modern format. People still run this location. The Baru and Lars Moisture Farm is pretty good too. That's also Force Drain +1 and adds 1 to weapon destinies. I just feel Judlin Waste is a little more versatile with the requiring total of 6 or more ability. That's my favorite dark side location. Cantina coming in runner-up. All right, moving on to New Hope. I feel New Hope is a very, very weak set for locations, especially for the light side. They have the droid junk heap thing in the Sandcrawler. There's the... What else is there? There's the trash compactor. There's the Jajaric board. There's the hologram. There's so many worthless locations in A New Hope. It's kind of sad. And light side gets the short end of the stick, but arguably they had better locations in Premier, so that might be justified, especially space locations, including Kessel. But Kashyyyk is a great light side space location. That's why it's my favorite light side location in A New Hope. It doesn't do much. Wookiees and Smugglers deploy -2, which can be pretty good if you're doing the Falcon or something like that with Han and Chewie. Total ability of 6 or more required for the dark side to draw destiny. That's pretty big deal, especially back in the day, just like I was saying with the Judlin Waste. You have to put a Star Destroyer down, and then you have to put Mahdi down, then you have to put Lieutenant Cabal down. Suddenly you're committing 3 cards just to draw 1 destiny. And you don't really want to commit Vader to space unless you're running a strictly space deck. So that's why I like Kashyyyk. Really, really fun location to run in light side space. Yes, the dark side Kashyyyk is way better in A New Hope. The dark side locations, clearly the number one is the Star Destroyer, the big guy. The Death Star, not Star Destroyer, the Death Star is the big one. 3 icons, the only 3 icon card in the game. Asterisk, big asterisk there. They should have maybe had a few more 3 icon cards, but then what would the Death Star be? 4 icon? You know, they could have made Death Star 2 3 icon, I guess. But Darkseid has a lot of bad locations in A New Hope, just like Lightside. But they also have Kashyyyk and they have Kithix. So they have some really decent space locations. Plus, they have the Death Star, which is a monster starting location. Sure, Lightside gets to go first, which can really hurt you some games. But just such a cool card. There's no icons for the light side. That's why it has to be the best light side, dark side location in A New Hope. Let's go on to Hoth. My favorite Hoth location for the light side, main power generators. Why? It's your starting location. You get to pull up the 4th marker. Bam. Right there. Shield rules in effect. You get to shield your whole main power generators. You can put down marker 2, marker 3. Marker 3 has Force Drain +1. So you can shield all this stuff and get some great drains off. It's so thematic. Everybody loves playing Hoth, where you have the generators up and you're just having a big battle and drains. Lightside has that thing where they can feel completely impervious under the shield, knowing the dark side can't get to them, so they can drain at the 2nd and 3rd markers at their own crapulence. Love the main power generators. I actually think Hoth locations are super cool. The Echo locations, they're all really interesting and they all have a use. That being said, the dark side location is absolutely top tier. This location is in so many dark side decks, and for good reason. It's like the Tatooine Lars Moisture Farm for the dark side, except it has 2 icons, 2 dark side icons, 2 for you, 1 for them. Their troopers are forfeit -1, which is okay. Adds 1 to each of your weapon destiny draws. So when you're drawing a lightsaber, you're getting +2. When you're drawing 2 destiny for lightsaber, I mean, Vader with the lightsaber there is going to hit anything. And if you're on an AT-ATs with a gun, anything else, you're shooting anything you want. Force Drain +1, Force Drain for 2. Super fun. And look at that picture. All those rebels running away like the cowards they are, like the deserters they are. That's how I feel about that. That's my favorite Hoth location. Moving to Dagobah. The worst locations in the game. The whole set is a bunch of non-locations. You have asteroids, which are just completely, they take away from the game. You have the big one, then you have a bunch of Executor sites and a bunch of Dagobah sites, non-interactive sites. That being said, the best light side location is Dagobah Yoda's hut. It has many uses, because if you plop Yoda down there, you can subtract 2 from attrition anywhere on the board once per turn. That's great. Basically adds 2 more to your immunity to attrition to everybody in the game. So it's like your Obi-Wan's now immune to 7 attrition, stuff like that. Just can be really cool. Also, the opponent can't easily drop a character here and force drain you for 2 because it's on Dagobah. They would have to land a character there, which is a whole song and dance. And if you're not training using training or something, there's no reason to go to Dagobah. So it's a great 2 force for you. And if you want to plop Yoda down there and maybe have him do some retrieval or whatever you want to do, have some shenanigans, stone pile, whatever you want. Stone pile, what a good card. Yoda's hut, favorite Dagobah location. Dark side, yeah, I know the meditation chamber is great, and I know the Hall of Theater are both great locations, but I'm going to go with the Dagobah Cave as the best dark side location. Why? Same reason as Yoda's hut. They can't force drain you there. If they have presence at the Dagobah Cave, for some reason they have presence at the Dagobah Cave, they're training or something, then your force icons are just canceled, so you can't be drained there, which is really convenient. So if you need 2 extra force, especially before objectives and all these things came out that made force generation easier, mobilization points, stuff like that let you generate force a lot faster. Dagobah Cave was a great just card to throw in. Hopefully you draw it turn 1 to get that extra activation. But lose 1 force in each control phase if Yoda's not on the table. So if they're trying to pull some Yoda shenanigans, which are very rare, it punishes that too. So that's pretty good too. Cloud City. Now this is a set that has some great locations. Oh, see, I thought this location was dark side. I turned it the wrong way. This has some great locations for the light side, not as powerful for the dark side, and I'll get to why in a second. First of all, this is my favorite Cloud City location. One for the light side. It's light side. One for the light side, two for the dark. So you're getting a sweet drain of 2. And it's not a force drain plus 1. It's a straight 2 drain. So Imperial Decree and stuff that cancels force drain modifiers, it's not affected by this. So you're getting a straight up 2 drain, and your characters with lightsabers are power plus 2, which is amazing because if you're going to be dueled or whatever you want, you can usually compare powers. You compare the powers of characters. And so when your character has a lightsaber, he's power plus 2. He's not getting dueled so easily. He or she's not getting dueled so easily. So love that card. Leia's Guest Quarters was a close second because that's a 2 for you, 1 for them. Leia deploys cheaper, plus force drain minus 1. Both are really good light side locations. They have a few really cool locations in Cloud City. That being said, the dark side doesn't have as many powerful locations. They don't even have a drain for 2. They don't even have a drain for 2 in Cloud City. Those Cloud City cards came in special edition that were better for the dark side. I'm going with this as the best Cloud City dark side card because it has the gimmick of in your control phase, may use 2 force to retrieve 1 droid, and the opponent force drains you for 0 there with a force drain minus 1. Kind of a gimmick, kind of cool. There's 2 dark side Cloud City cards that are force drain minus 1 for the opponent. Really, there's no force drain plus 1, so controlling a location that's only a force drain for 1 can almost be a liability because there's a battle orders, there's all these things, and they can plop down on you and battle you. If you're not draining for 2, it usually doesn't make the cut to most decks. And I think they realized the Cloud City didn't have enough strong locations. That's why they put so many in the special edition set, especially for Darkside. That gave them a leg up. Now, moving on to Jabba's Palace, which has some great locations for the dark side, not so many for the light side, I would say. This is my favorite light side Jabba's Palace location. It's the classic Kurdu 3, as seen in the movies, also known as Little Tatooine. Everyone knows it. The game text says, if you occupy once per turn, search reserve deck, take a desert, some word no one knows, and sand whirl into hand. Opponent, force drain minus 1. So they're force draining you for 0. Plus you can pull out a desert and a sand whirl and pull some desert sand whirl shenanigans, as we've all seen, where you put a desert down, you put a sand whirl down, and it doesn't move, and then you throw a land speeder and you're draining all game for 1. Or whatever you want. You're draining for 1 all game. It's a free drain. Plus you can trick your opponent and maybe make some characters lost. I love Kurdo 3. Obviously, the set is Jabba's Palace, and I'm picking a space location. I know the audience chamber for the light side is not that good because it doesn't let you pull an alien like the dark side. That lets us segue into the dark side. So the dark side has Jabba's Palace. This is my favorite dark side place, Jabba's Palace. 2 for you, 1 for them. During your deploy phase, may deploy 1 Jabba's Palace site from reserve deck. Thank God, finally a location where you can pull other locations. Yes, we saw in Dagobah with the light side, you could pull other Dagobah locations, but those are non-interactive locations, again, sadly, which is just a shame because pulling locations makes the game flow so much better. And now we're finally seeing it in Jabba's Palace where you can pull a Jabba's Palace location every turn. You could play Expand the Empire as your starting interrupt and just pull 3 or 4 locations until you have all the Jabba's Palace sites out the first turn. Great. And it lets you pull out the audience chamber, which lets you pull out an alien. So you start out with Jabba's Palace and Tatooine Jabba's Palace, and then you pull out the audience chamber first turn, and then you pull an alien from the reserve deck first turn. Just a great combo. 2 for you, 1 for them. Dark side has so much better locations in Jabba's Palace than the light side. Maybe it's just the theme because it's more of a dark side area, but it would have been nice if both sides kind of had that pulling mechanism of pulling out locations with Jabba's Palace. And I wish the light side would have pull an alien from your reserve deck too. I know they have that with other cards, but it's just cool to have on the location. Love the dark side. All the Rancor pit, the hallway, all those things are cool Jabba's Palace locations. Moving to special edition. Special Edition had so many great locations. This being one, they introduced these generic locations where you could put basically at any planet. They can battle at any planet, have a great time. They have objectives. The farm is arguably the best generic location because it's the only 2 for you, 1 for them location that's generic. So you can start off with the operative objective, and you can start out with the two force for you, 1 for them, instead of 1 of each, because all the other ones are 1 for each. I know the forest is an amazing generic location because it makes you immune to attrition, but I just thought the farm just has a special place in my heart because I love the light side when they're running non-unique locations. And you can pull a hydroponic station or a vaporator from the reserve deck. That's kind of cool if you want to do some cool gimmicky stuff. Actually, might be worth a try. You can actually put this location on Tatooine too. That's why it's my favorite. There's so many good ones. There's Coruscant. They had the light side Death Star. They had so many Cloud City locations. The 2 for you, 2 for them Cloud City locations. There's so many good special edition locations. They did that set so well for locations. Now, on to my favorite Dark Side special edition card. Fondor is my favorite. Executor deploys -5. If you occupy, all opponents' Corellian Corvettes are forfeit -4 and deploy +1. Ouch. That is so good. Now you can have Executor themed decks. You can do so many things now. You can get the Executor out on turn 2 or 3. Finally, instead of having to have 15 force, this is before Death Star 2, where that would be only deploy for 7, which is actually insane to get the flagship Executor out for that Executor. I'm sorry. Force drain -1 for the opponent, which just makes this such a sweet card. The only caveat is if you control, opponent may not deploy Executor. You only make the mistake once of running Fondor and letting the opponent control it before you deploy your Executor. And then you realize, oh shit, I can't deploy my Executor. I better not make that mistake again. So make sure if you're running Fondor, you deploy your Executor and control the site. And then you rain terror on your opponent. There are a lot of great Cloud City locations in Special Edition 2 for the Dark Side. I think in the Cloud City set, why they didn't have as many good Dark Side locations is because they thought Dark Deal would be too powerful if there was a lot of drain for 2 for the Dark Side locations. But really, Dark Deal is so hard to control all those locations to keep it up and running that it's really not that overpowered. It's a pretty balanced card, and I think the locations they added in Special Edition for Cloud City really opened up Cloud City as a viable place for Darkseid to go. Now, let's move to Endor. Endor for the light side. Endor has better cards for the dark side, I would say. Whoops, switch that around. Better cards for the dark side as far as locations go. The back door is virtually the same, light and dark side, but it's the best light side card in my opinion. It's a 2 for 2, so you get a nice 2 drain. You may move from here to back door to bunker. It's really cool with the objective. The Endor system's really nice, but nothing in Endor really stands out. There's no other drain for 2 for the light side. So this is my number 1. Not that exciting for Endor, but the dark side is more exciting. There's 3 different forest cards. There's dark forest, there's forest clearing, there's a dense forest. There's a whole bunch of forest cards. This is the uncommon one, and it's my favorite of the Endor sites for the dark side because it's force drain +1. Each of your vehicles is power +1, both sides. So it's a nice drain for 2. It's not as powerful as the third marker, say, of Hoth, but it's still a really nice location that any Endor deck is going to include. Some other Endor decks might not even include it. Some non-Endor decks might just throw it in because it's a great draining location just to have and make them run around and stop your 2 drain. Pretty cool. The Endor system is really good for the dark side, and yet the bunkers is really good for the dark side if you have all the effects that make the rebels not be able to deploy. There's some cool cards in Endor, but a little bit weaker set for as far as locations go. Same with Death Star 2. Death Star 2 really doesn't have that many good locations. There's a few planets that are okay, but not as OP as like Kessel or Kifix or anything like that. But Home 1 War Room is my favorite light side, just like the Fondor location. I love it. Control with the Rebel. Home 1 to deploy -5 and power +3. I really love that. And force drain -1 for the opponent, but they get when initiating a battle, they get to add 1 battle destiny. So it could make some really interesting high-powered battles there. But if you lose control of it, it's not the end of the world because you only lose 1 force a turn. Cool. Deploy -5. I love getting the home one out, and I love having this, working this way. Working this into a deck is super fun because it just makes your home one feel all the more powerful. That being said, I guess there's Solace. Dark Side, my favorite location is Solace. There's a lot of those locations in Death Star 2 that are just not needed. Like the Death Star 2 system is clunky, and the rules around it I feel are a little bit just an extra rule set. And those corridors, those 3 different, I forget what they're called, that you have to put down. I'll put them on the screen. But those 3 different sections of the Death Star are all kind of not fun locations and kind of silly. And I always hated getting those in packs. But my favorite is Solace. I love 2 for you, 2 for them. Great space locations that just force everybody to fight. They just basically force everybody to fight. That's my favorite Death Star 2 location for the dark side. That's the list. Tell me what you think. Did it stink? Do you have a better list? Tell me what you think. Enter to win a starter deck below. What the hell? Let's see who the winner is for this week. 72 unique commenters. Thanks for the great comments this week. Let's see who the big winner is. Jeremy Chippy. Where's my Chippy at right now? Great video. Keep them coming. Funny you mentioned the +5 forfeit. You know what? Now that I think about it, it is pretty funny. I also didn't quite grasp the rules for capturing when I was younger. Also, yeah, the rules are so arcane and so hard to understand. I mean, have you seen the rule book now? If you go to the Star Wars CCG official site and download the rules, it's like 100+ pages long. It's thick. It's actually really fun to sit down and read because you actually learn a lot about Star Wars CCG and all these interesting mechanics. But really, it's not like Magic where it has the rules written on the cards. It's like, oh, I don't know what Echo does, and I don't know what these other things do. Well, here it is written right on the card. But no, Star Wars CCG, it's like they say characters forfeit +5. You don't even know what that does. But yeah, again, thanks, Jeremy Chupp, for the great message, and you're the humongous winner. Thanks. Congratulations. We had so many great comments from last week. The major consensus was Boba Fett is the #1 bounty hunter. Everybody agrees. Definitely one. But it was a little disagreement on which version of the Boba Fett should be #1. Some people said that Boba Fett from Reflections 3 should have been #1. Get out of here with that garbage. Get out of here with Reflections 3 nonsense. A lot of people said IG-8 should have been #2. A couple people said that because even his Dagobah version is super strong because he makes characters lost when he hits them. Yeah, all good points. The list could have been completely switched around and still been coherent as long as they left Boba Fett as #1. Dodges per not being on the list. I guess I should have put him maybe on the list. He was right on the edge. He's ability 4. He was a main from Premier that really carried a lot of decks when you didn't have a lot of mains. But, and that Ewok Poopla for the Roaster Random card, I guess it's Popla is how you pronounce it. Who knew? Who knows? So let's roast a random card right now. Boom. 2094 cards. Let's see what we get. Oh, we got to switch it. 2094. Let's generate it. Let's see what we get. 708. This is going to be what? Maybe Dagobah? 708, 708, 708. Here we come. Oh, it's going to be good. There is no try. That's not fun. I'm sorry. There is no try. Oh, my goodness. We got a 1. I'm sorry. We're not doing there is no try. We're doing 5D6. Wait. Tony Wonder, wait. 5D6 is actually #2. It's not #1. I'm sorry. We have to roll again. I know this is cheating, but 592, 594. I'm sorry. We're not going to do there is no try just because it's a good card and people are just trying to solve a problem. K3PO. K3PO. This is going to be hard to roast because K3PO is a pretty... Oh, no. I was thinking of the other 3PO from Hoth. This is the stinky 3PO. This is the rare one. Rare 1 K3PO. Wow. So, may initiate battles and be battled. This is the original picture that wasn't the heir. This is the one that wasn't the heir. May initiate battle and be battled. K3PO is power +1 for each of your other droids at Hoth or Yavin Force site. Functions as a leader present with your other droids. Okay, so it does nothing. I guess it has a good destiny number, and if that's the only thing going for your card, that's pretty weak. Let me read his flavor text. Old model protocol droid. He does look old model. Learn military tactics while under ownership of Commander Nana.
What are these names? Commander Nana. It's like as dumb as General Jar Jar Binks. Like, why would you take orders from Commander Nana? In charge of the droid pool at Echo Base. Okay, initiate battles and be battled. Okay, K-3PO's power +1 for each. So he does nothing. He basically does absolutely nothing. He could be power 3 or 4 if you have 5 other droids. Terrible. I'm going to give him a D-. I like him because he's rare 1. What is that other? The other, is that R3PO? Yeah, that's the one with that's the cool one. That's the cool one. That's the great one. That's rare 2, though. That's even easier to get. Now, that's the cool 3PO from Hoth. And that was the air picture. Anyway, sorry, K3PO. You're the lesser of the 3POs.
I have to add an addendum to the K3PO. I disparaged him wrongly. It's not Commander Nana in the game text. It's Commander Nara. It's just the way the card was scanned. The 2 R's kind of look, because it's pixelated, the 2 R's look like they're an N. I had to check my collection with my K3PO because Commander Nana seemed too ridiculous, and it's Commander Nara, which makes sense because it's the original trilogy and they just use cool names. Commander Nana is something for the prequel trilogies, or infinitely worse, the sequel trilogies probably has a bunch of Commander Nanas in it. Anyway, we have 2 more episodes in the season. Thanks for sticking with me, and excited to see you next week. Peace, guys.